40 minutes into being stuck in a metal box suspended in a shaft, I had pretty much accepted that this was how I was going to go out. I had already tried calling my girlfriend, the CEO, about a dozen times, but she never picked up. Eventually, my battery just gave up, and the screen went black. But then, right when the silence was starting to get heavy, I heard her voice. The only catch was that it wasn't coming from my phone. It was coming from the speakerphone of the guy sitting on the floor next to me. Her voice filled the small space, calm and soothing, meant for everyone to hear, but specifically directed at him. "Don't panic, Julian. Just hit all the buttons for every floor. The maintenance team is already dispatched. I'm walking out of my office right now to come get you. Tate, you'll see me the second those doors open." Elena's voice rang through the elevator, clear and undeniable. It also rang through my chest, but instead of bringing relief, it felt like a dam breaking, washing away everything I thought I knew. I just stared down at my dead phone, feeling a sharp pain in my chest. I had dialed that same number minutes ago and got nothing. Now she was on the line with this guy. I didn't even have time to process the why of it all before I heard him speak. His voice was thick, wobbling with tears. "Elena, I'm terrified. Is this it? Am I going to die here? I'm only 22. I don't want to die yet. I still want to marry you. I want to be your husband." Julian was shaking so hard he couldn't even hold the phone up to his ear, which is why it was on speaker on the floor. He was curled up in a ball, practically pouring his soul out to her. Through the speaker, I heard her gasp, followed by the distinct clicking of heels running on pavement. She was obviously frantic. I could hear her shouting orders to her assistant, demanding rescue teams, maintenance, firefighters, and an ambulance. Once she finished barking orders, she went right back to comforting him. "Stop that, silly. Don't talk like that. You have a long life ahead of you. I'm right here. Don't be scared. We're going to get you out. I'm with you, so don't worry." Her voice was steady and strong, and honestly, it calmed down the other people in the elevator. Everyone seemed to relax a fraction. Everyone except me. I started shaking. I couldn't stop it. My eyes stung, turning red almost immediately. I had been with Elena for 5 years. She was, for all intents and purposes, the perfect girlfriend. She was always careful about boundaries, never getting too close to other guys. Even my best friend Mike, who is notoriously critical of everyone I date, had to admit that Elena was a genuinely decent human being. As her boyfriend, I never had a reason to doubt her. I felt secure, but looking back at how weird she had been acting lately, combined with this phone call, the picture was starting to clear up. She did love me once, that was real. But the fact that she didn't love me anymore was just as real. I clenched my teeth, forcing myself to keep my mouth shut. I didn't want to interrupt their tender moment, even though every part of me wanted to scream and tear down the fake image she had built. The guy standing to my right noticed I wasn't doing well. He asked quietly if I was scared. I shook my head. Not realizing that all the color had drained from my face, I must have looked like a ghost. He assumed I was terrified of the elevator dropping again, so he placed his hand over mine where I was gripping the safety rail. He noticed my phone was dead, meaning I couldn't call anyone to say goodbye. He reached into his bag, pulled out a portable charger, and held it out. When I just looked at it, too stunned to move, he plugged it in for me. "Here, just in case," he said. I knew what he meant. If we were going to crash, I should have the chance to make one last call. The phone didn't boot up right away. My focus drifted back to the guy on the floor talking to Elena. Julian. That had to be the same Julian she had mentioned a few days ago. I remembered coming home from work and seeing Elena on the balcony, pacing while on the phone. But, as I walked up to the glass door, I heard her sound irritated. "Dad, seriously, stop trying to set me up. No more blind dates. That goes for Julian, too. I see him as a little brother. Nothing more." At the time, I felt bad for her. I thought about the pressure she was under to make her family happy while trying to stay with me. I thought she was fighting for us. But looking at Julian now, I realized he must be the preferred son-in-law for the Sterling family. Everything he had on was expensive. Custom-tailored suit, designer shoes, perfect haircut. He had the vibe of someone who had never heard the word no in his life. He was nothing like me. I was just a guy from a small town who got good grades and worked his way into the same room as people like the Sterlings through sheer exhaustion and family support. Suddenly, the elevator lurched hard. Then it dropped. Everyone screamed. It felt like my stomach was in my throat. Fortunately, we didn't hit the basement. The brakes kicked in, and we slammed to a halt around the 8th floor. My heart was hammering against my ribs. Aside from me and Julian, there was a married couple and 2 other strangers, a man and a woman. We had stopped, but nobody felt safe. This was the second drop. The first time we had stuck at the 15th floor. Building management had tried to pry the doors open, and that's when the cable slipped, dropping us to somewhere between the 12th and 13th. The people who had been keeping it together were starting to lose it. We were in a bad spot. Too unstable for regular maintenance guys to get us. We had to wait for the fire department and the specialized rescue squad. After this second drop, even the people outside were freaking out. Elena heard the scream and the crash over the phone. I heard an engine revving and tires screeching on her end. She was probably running red lights. Her voice was shaking now. Julian, don't be scared. I'm almost there. Just hold on for me, okay? Julian had completely fallen apart. He was just sobbing now. Elena, save me, please, save me. The couple in the corner was hugging each other, whispering prayers. The guy next to me gripped my hand tighter, leaning in like I could protect him. The woman standing by herself saw Julian curled up on the floor and, after hesitating, reached down to help him up. It's not safe to squat, she said gently. Keep your knees bent a little and hold the rail. For a minute, nobody spoke. The air was thick with fear. The couple started recording a video on their phone, saying their goodbyes. The man next to me was texting rapidly. The woman holding Julian up couldn't use her hands, so she started voice dialing her family. The guy next to me saw my phone screen light up and noticed I wasn't moving. He asked if I needed help dialing. I gave him a weak smile and was about to shake my head, but I didn't want to be rude to the only person showing me kindness. Before I could say anything, Julian's voice cut through the silence again. Elena, if I make it out of here alive, will you marry me? With the woman holding him up, Julian seemed to find a sudden burst of courage. He probably thought this was the ultimate romantic moment, a chance to make Elena realize what she stood to lose. If he died, wouldn't she regret turning him down? He wanted an answer. Diuwa, right now. Everyone in the elevator went quiet, waiting to hear what the voice on the phone would say. I was the only one moving, my thumb trembling as I opened my call log. My vision was so blurry from tears I kept missing the button. My chest felt like it was being crushed in a vice. Finally, I managed to hit the contact saved as my love. When Elena didn't answer immediately, Julian raised his voice, sounding petulant. Elena, you won't even marry me if I'm dying? Fine. If that's how it is, don't even bother coming. Just let me fall. Let me die. He was throwing a tantrum. My phone was dialing. It rang, and then automatically disconnected. Nobody picked up. Then, from Julian's phone, I heard her voice. Okay. My eyes snapped open. I swear I heard something break inside me. I couldn't breathe. I started gasping. Then desperate for air. The man next to me noticed instantly. He probably briefly wondered if my reaction had something to do with the conversation on the speaker, but he shook it off, telling himself he watched too much drama on TV. He patted my back, trying to help me regulate my breathing. I didn't know what was happening physically, but emotionally, the foundation of my life had just collapsed. That single word, okay, echoed in my skull. Elena was going to marry Julian. Julian was going to marry Elena. What was I supposed to do? Should I walk over there, slap Julian, and demand to know what was going on? Should I scream at him for being a homewrecker? Should I spit at the phone, call Elena a cheater, and break up with her right there? I used to think I was the type of guy who wouldn't take any nonsense. I remember telling my college roommates, puffing out my chest, if a girl ever cheats on me, I'm done. I'd kick her to the curb immediately. No second chances for trash. I can still see my younger self saying that, so confident and so naive. So why was it that now, faced with the actual betrayal, I was just paralyzed? I was numb. I opened my mouth to speak, but my throat was so dry and tight that nothing came out. This is what betrayal feels like. Internally, I was screaming, a hurricane of rage and grief. But on the outside, I was just a statue. Only the stranger next to me saw the crack in the mask. He looked at me with deep concern, seeing a man who looked physically uninjured but was clearly shattered. He just held my hand tighter. When Julian heard Elena say yes, he practically jumped. The woman holding him had to grab him to keep him steady. His sudden movement made the elevator sway again, terrifying us. But thankfully, it didn't drop. Julian noticed the angry looks from the rest of us, but he didn't care. He was too busy celebrating. "Elena, you promised. You said you'd marry me. You can't take it back, okay?" Elena didn't respond immediately. I heard a car door slam on her end. She was there. It usually takes an hour to get from the Sterling Corporation to this building, but she made it in 30 minutes. She must have flown. She was so worried about him that she couldn't even look at her phone to see me calling. She was so worried she forgot she already had a boyfriend. She was so worried that, without even bothering to break up with me first, she engaged herself to someone else, watching Julian's happy face. I thought back to our 3rd anniversary. My dad had found out we'd been together for 3 years and called to ask about marriage. He gave me the standard speech about not getting any younger and how the older generation just wants to see their kids settled. I had wanted to wait, to enjoy just being a couple a little longer, but I brought it up to Elena later as a joke. "My dad's asking for grandkids," I'd said, laughing. The look on her face was pure panic. "I'm not stupid." Seeing that reaction killed my mood instantly. Under my questioning, she finally dropped the bomb. She was the heiress to the Sterling Empire. I was floored. We met at a conference. She told me she liked me from the start and had engineered ways to bump into me. I was a manager, she was a supervisor. I thought we were equals, climbing the ladder together. But she turned out to be royalty in disguise. Her parents wanted her to learn the ropes from the bottom up, so she hid her identity. For 3 years, she never told me. If I hadn't joked about marriage, would she have ever told me? If I had known who she was from the start, I never would have agreed to the first date. But life doesn't have a rewind button. We were already 3 years deep. We were in sync on everything: hobbies, thoughts, chemistry. I had fallen in love inside a lie. I remembered my dad sighing when I told him the truth about her. I didn't get it then, but I do now. By year 4, she told me her parents wanted her to marry within her social class. By year 5, the blind dates started. And today, the reality finally hit. Some gaps can't be bridged by optimism. "Rescue team is downstairs. Hang tight." "We're coming," a voice shouted from outside the shaft. The building manager was yelling through the doors, trying to keep us calm. Hearing that help was close, everyone let out a breath they'd been holding. At that moment, my head started spinning. Maybe it was the lack of air, or maybe it was the shock of what I'd just heard. I felt like I was going to black out. The stranger put his arm around my shoulders, holding me up. I was grateful. Just as my vision started to swim, a voice cut through the fog like a knife. Julian, I'm here. Don't be scared. They're getting you out right now." It was Elena. Her voice was muffled by the doors, but unmistakable. It sounded a million miles away. I gripped the stranger's arm so hard I probably bruised him, but he didn't pull away. He just braced me. The rescue team arrived with her. They started setting up the gear, but then everything went wrong. Hearing her voice sent Julian into a frenzy. He broke away from the woman holding him and rushed the door, banging on it with his fists. Elena, you're finally here! I knew you'd come!" The elevator was barely hanging on at the 8th floor. Julian's thrashing caused the brakes to slip. We dropped again. Miraculously, it was only 1 floor this time, catching at the 7th. Outside, you could hear the panic as the rescue team and Elena scrambled down the emergency stairs to the next level. Elena looked like a wreck. She had ripped off her scarf and thrown it on the floor. Her eyes were locked on the steel doors. She kept talking to him. "Julian, are you okay? Stand still. Stop moving. They're opening the door. Be good. Stay there." "I'm not leaving." Because of Julian, we had almost died again. The atmosphere in the car turned murderous. The husband of the couple snapped. "Are you insane? You want to die? Do it alone. Stop jumping around. You sound like a dying animal. Shut your mouth and wait until we get out to start crying to your girlfriend again." "Seriously," the wife added. "My toddler has more self-control." Julian rubbed his arm where he'd banged it against the wall. He wanted to argue, but seeing the pure hatred in everyone's eyes, he wisely shut up. I was completely numb. It felt like I had already accepted that Elena's love belonged to him now. Finally, the jaws of life pried the doors open. Julian was right there, so he scrambled out first. The couple shoved past him to get out. I tried to step forward, but my legs wouldn't work. I nudged the man holding me, trying to signal him to go ahead. But he refused to leave me. He kept his grip firm and walked me out slowly. The woman who had been helping Julian walked behind us, her hands hovering near my back in case I fell. Out in the hallway, it was chaotic. People were crying, hugging family members, thanking God. I just stood there, staring at one spot. The kind stranger followed my gaze. Julian was clinging to a beautiful woman, weeping into her shoulder. She was rubbing his back, stroking his hair, whispering into his ear. It was intimate. It was tender. My tears finally spilled over. One drop, then a steady stream. My vision blurred. Elena's face started to look like a stranger's. Suddenly, a voice called out from the crowd. "Mark?" I turned my head sluggishly. "Sarah, you're here." That was the last thing I said before the floor rushed up to meet me and everything went black. Underscore, 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 underscore. Underscore, 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 underscore. Elena was busy calming Julian down when she heard someone say my name. Her brain froze. She snapped her head up, scanning the crowd mechanically. Her eyes landed on me just as I collapsed into another woman's arms. I looked terrifyingly pale. Even from 10 feet away, she could see my lips were cracked and dry. She watched as I was lifted up like a rag doll. My hand swung limply at my side. It hit her like a physical blow. "Mark, what are you doing here?" she whispered, her lips trembling. Nobody answered her. Then it clicked. The missed calls. The phone that went dead. She felt like someone had twisted a knife in her gut. She couldn't breathe. The realization that she was about to lose something vital made her eyes fill with tears. Julian noticed her stop moving and assumed she was just reacting to his trauma. He was secretly thrilled. He never thought she cared this much. "Elena, I'm fine. See? Not a scratch. Let's go get married, okay?" He pulled back to look at her, a shy, hopeful smile on his face. That snapped Elena back to reality. She shoved him, hard. Caught off guard, Julian stumbled and fell backward onto the floor. "Elena? What the hell? Why did you push me?" Elena was in full panic mode. All she could see was my lifeless face. She turned to run toward the stairs where they had taken me. She had to see me. She had to apologize. Julian scrambled up and blocked her path. Elena's face twisted in anger. "Julian, move!" "I don't get it," he stammered, shaking his head. "You just promised to marry me. Why are you acting like this?" Hearing the word marry made Elena groan in frustration. She wiped a hand over her face. "Julian, I only said that because I thought you were dying. I was comforting you so you wouldn't die scared. The only person I love is Mark." She shoved past him and sprinted for the stairwell, leaving Julian standing there with his mouth open. Everyone in the hallway had heard it. The survivors from the elevator exchanged looks. They had just witnessed a soap opera unfold in real time. Underscore, 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 underscore. Underscore, 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 underscore. I woke up to the smell of disinfectant. I was in a hospital room. My old college friend, Sarah, was standing there listening to a doctor give instructions. She was asking questions. What could I eat? Was I allowed to have fruit? Sarah had always been like that. Since school, she had looked out for me like a big sister. I blinked, my eyes adjusting to the light. "Mark, you're awake." Sarah rushed over, her face full of worry. "Does anything hurt?" She made the doctor check me again. Once he confirmed I was physically okay, just exhausted and in shock, he left us. Sarah sat down and started peeling an apple. "Mark, I'm so sorry. I should have found you sooner. It's over now. You're safe." Sarah only knew I had been stuck in an elevator. She didn't know I had front row seats to my girlfriend's infidelity. The combination of the near-death experience, the betrayal, and the fact that I'd been pulling overtime for weeks had just shut my body down. Before I could speak, the door flew open. Elena burst in. She was a mess, sweaty, hair wild, sleeves rolled up haphazardly. All her usual poise was gone. The second she saw me, her eyes welled up. Sarah handed me the apple slices and quietly stepped out. "I'll be right outside. Yell if you need me." Elena didn't even acknowledge her. She sat on the edge of the bed and reached for my hand. I pulled it away instantly. Hurt flashed across her face, followed by a bitter, broken laugh. "I'm sorry, Mark," she rasped. "I didn't know. I swear I didn't know you were in there. There is nothing going on with me and Julian. You have to believe me." I thought seeing her would make me angry. I thought I'd scream. I thought I'd demand answers. But watching her beg, I felt empty. I just ate a slice of apple. "Mark, please say something. I know I messed up. Just give me a chance." I finished the apple. I looked at her. "I need to rest. Please leave." She stiffened. She looked into my eyes and couldn't find any of the warmth that used to be there. It terrified her. She grabbed my hand again, tighter this time. "Mark, I know I was wrong. Please." In the elevator, I only said that because I was scared he would die. His family and mine go way back. It was life or death. I was just calming him down. Hearing her talk about the elevator brought it all back. The fear, the humiliation. Tears started rolling down my face again without my permission. Elena reached out to wipe them away, her fingers trembling. Then, she dropped to her knees. She slapped herself across the face, hard, twice. "Mark, I broke your heart. I know. I'll do anything to fix it. Just don't sentence me to death like this. I love you. Please, we can get married. As soon as you're discharged, we'll get a small place, just us. No parents. No drama." The word marriage lit a fuse in me. Rage, hot and sudden, finally broke through the numbness. I slapped her. It wasn't hard, but it was enough to stop her talking. I pointed at the door. "Get out." I couldn't believe the audacity. She was proposing to me hours after proposing to him. She stood up, forcing a smile that was more painful to look at than tears. "Okay, I know you're mad. I'll go. I'll go get you some clean clothes and come back with dinner. Just rest." She turned and practically ran out of the room. Sarah came back in a moment later. She didn't ask what happened. She just asked what I wanted for dinner, saying her family's chef could make whatever soup I needed. I was so grateful I didn't have to explain. "I called Professor Davis," Sarah said casually. "Told him you had an emergency business trip, so we can't make dinner tonight." That reminded me. We were supposed to visit our old professor. Sarah was actually the client for my big project. When I found out her energy company was the partner, I volunteered to lead it. We were supposed to sign contracts today. When I didn't show up, Sarah knew something was wrong. I'm never late. She tracked me down. "Thank you, Sarah." "Don't mention it." She ruffled my hair. "Just get better and buy me a nice dinner." She had to go back to her office to deal with the fallout of my absence, but she left me a tablet and a game console. "Stay put, don't run off. I'll be back later." After she left, a different visitor arrived. Mrs. Sterling. Elena's mother walked in wearing enough jewelry to buy the hospital wing. She looked around the standard room with a curled lip, then looked at me. "So, you're the man keeping Victoria distracted." It wasn't a question. I knew right then that even without the elevator incident, we were doomed. "Who are you? If you're lost, please leave." She looked shocked. "Excuse me, a nobody from nowhere with zero manners? I expected as much." She sat on the sofa, uninvited. "I am Elena's mother, and don't speak to me like that. You barged in here, didn't introduce yourself, and started insulting me," I said, my voice flat. "Who's the one with no manners?" She slammed her hand on the table. "I am Mrs. Sterling. Do I look like some random woman to you, you disrespectful little—" "Mrs. Sterling, if you have a point, make it. Stop wasting time." She took a breath, composing herself. "Fine. Julian told me what happened. You aren't good enough for her. The family will never approve. She and Julian are a match. You're just a placeholder. Name your price. We'll pay you to leave. But if you try to cling to her to climb the social ladder, you'll regret it." I laughed. I actually laughed. She looked confused. I picked up my phone, deleted the last words video I'd made in the elevator, and dialed my dad on speaker. "Son, everything okay? We missed you." Hearing his voice almost broke me. "Dad, I miss you, a lot. If you miss us, come home, son. The door is always open." "Dad, if I get married, what kind of person should I look for?" He paused. He never liked the situation with Elena. "Mark, marriage is huge. It's the biggest choice you make. I just want you to be with someone you love, and who loves you. Don't marry for any other reason. If marriage doesn't make you happy, then don't do it." "Your mom and I just want you to be happy." "Thanks, Dad." I hung up. I wiped my eyes and looked at Mrs. Sterling. "See? I have parents too, and unlike you, they actually care about my happiness. Elena can't make me happy. So you can stop worrying. I have no interest in your money or your arrogant family. Now, get out." She turned purple. I pressed the nurse call button and had her escorted out by security. That evening, I insisted on being discharged. Sarah took me to Mike's place. We had just left when Elena arrived at the hospital with soup. She found an empty bed. She called me, but I ignored it. She went to our apartment, saw the lights off, and dropped the thermos on the sidewalk. When Mike got back from his trip and heard the story, he wanted to go hunt Elena down. "That psycho. I knew she was too good to be true." "And that Julian kid, what a loser. Bro, forget her. I'll set you up with 10 better girls by tomorrow." "Mike, chill. I'm not looking for anyone right now." He dragged me out to get food anyway. Downstairs, we ran into Elena. She looked like a ghost. No makeup, dark circles, looking frail. "Mark, can we talk?" Mike rolled up his sleeves, ready to fight a woman. I held him back. "Don't give her the satisfaction." She started showing up every day. It got embarrassing. Eventually, I agreed to meet her at a coffee shop to end it properly. "5 years, Mark," she cried, grabbing my hand across the table. "You're throwing away 5 years?" "You never planned to marry me in those 5 years, did you?" I asked. "I was working on them. My parents are just stubborn. This is better, Elena. You don't have to choose anymore. Let's just call it what it is." She fell to her knees in the middle of the shop. "No, I don't want this. Don't leave me. We'll get married now. I don't care about the money. Please." She hugged my waist, burying her face in my shirt. I let her hold me for a second. When she felt me stop pulling away, she relaxed, thinking she had won. Then I whispered, "In the elevator. When Julian asked you to marry him. I called you. That was your last chance. You didn't pick up?" She froze. The blood drained from her face. She remembered. The phone ringing while Julian was crying. She had ignored it. I pulled away and walked out. She stayed there on the floor. I took 2 weeks off and went home to my parents. I needed to be a kid again. My dad, the dean, and my mom, the doctor, didn't ask questions. They just fed me and let me exist. D'emploi. Sarah drove down to pick me up. She brought gifts for them, like she was trying to win favor. On the drive back, she glanced at me. "You haven't missed me at all, have you? Heartless." "I missed you," I said. She smiled. "Don't feel pressured, Mark. I've waited this long. I can wait a bit longer. Just be happy. No more sad faces." 1 year later, Mike gave me the update. Elena had been forced to marry Julian. It was a disaster. They fought daily. Julian threw an ashtray at her head once, Mrs. Sterling slapped him, and Julian fought back. It was a circus. Elena was miserable, stuck between a husband she hated and a mother who had sold her out. One night, Elena drove by my new place. She sat in her car, smoking, looking at the window. She saw me walking up the path. Sarah was with me. We were laughing, carrying groceries. Sarah fixed my collar, and I took her bag. It was easy. It was peaceful. Elena watched us go inside. She stayed there until midnight. Julian called her, but she didn't answer. Eventually, her butler called to say her mom had been hospitalized from stress. Elena drove away, whispering to herself in the dark car. It wasn't supposed to end like this.